Hello and welcome back to Advanced Hwo Lessons. Rounded back to Flamingo, and it's an interesting move. Something you probably actually never used before or accidentally pressed when you were mashing with Hwo in Flamingo. I'm talking about LFS 4 and RFS 3. Do you know what these jumping moves do? I don't know, like, it's probably why you clicked on this video, right? Let's just roll the intro. Okay, so LFS 4 and RFS 3 are both +4 on block and come out at 14 frames. This is the second fastest move you can throw out in LFS because your fastest move here is LFS 1 at 13 frames and LFS 3, which is a mid at 14 frames. If you wanted to go high, you can do that and transition to RFF or RFS at +4. It is the third fastest move you can press in RFS because RFS F4 again is 8 frames, RFS 2 is 13 frames, and then RFS 3 is 14 frames. And you transition to left, and then you can hit the opponent with a down 3-4 or re-transition back into right and then give them the RFS F4 mix-up. Now, what's cool about this move, since its inception, was it low crushes. You see how Hwo jumps here as soon as he's, you see the status. It glows blue. It says he's airborne. He is indeed airborne. However, while it does low crush, it's difficult to punish an opponent who you just crushed. Because typically when you do low crush someone, right? Like if you do a neutral hop kick, you get the launch. You do a hop kick, you get the launch. You do an orbital, you get the launch. Or whatever. Like a 4-3+4, you get the hit. If you do LFS back 3 or RFS back 4 at the right frames, you're gonna tank or like low crush their move and tank the rest if there's anything like active frames left remaining in the move, and then you'll hit your opponent back. So I'm gonna demonstrate it here. I'm gonna have Hwo do it. So I'm gonna go for a down jab. And just like that. So low crushed and you're in another mix-up. That's always how it's been. So again, a down jab, and that's the issue. So every time you low crush an opponent with LFS 4 or RFS 3, you're in another mix-up already. Typically, what you do to keep yourself extremely safe in both scenarios is you power crush. So right here, Hwo's recorded with the power crush. And I'm gonna interrupt and then attempt. There you go. You get punished. That's like the best thing Hwo can do. But if the opponent decides to just hold back or like do something that's really fast to recover, like let's say a jab, or if their DF1 recovers really, really fast as it gets absorbed by the power crush, they're okay. Because if they do a down jab, you'll absorb it and punish them for it. But if they do a low, you'll lose sometimes because RFS back 4 is not gonna crush immediately the moment you press it. So you're at a dilemma there. And there's only one piece of advice I can give you. Watch out what your opponent is doing and adjust accordingly. If ever you find yourself in that kind of scenario, that is all. There's really no other way going around it. The next thing that's cool about this move is the frame trap. And before I go to the frame traps, yes, these moves do knock down. So if you get LFS 4, you can immediately press RFS 2 and then you can get the RFF Okizeme. If it's right, you press LFS 1 and then you get the LFF down 3-4 JFSR Okizeme. That's the basic Oki. Now back to frame traps. If you do get the RFS into LFS, so let's say you do RFS 3 into LFS 1, you already know what you can do. This is the Flamingo 1 mix-up. And the main thing here is F1+2. So it's very easy access. So if your opponent didn't know this was +4, it got changed to +4 in Season 4. It's just like, surprise! Or surprise the other way, 3-3. Now if you do get it off, let's say, LFS 4, you will do the same thing. You now have the RFS 2 mix-up, or more importantly, the RFS F4 mix-up. Hey, I made a whole video about this, link in the description below. Any right Flamingo, any move that transitions you to right Flamingo that isn't up back 3-4 always is covered by the RFS F4 mix-up. But you do get the RFF mix-up as well. So you can now reset because you're back in RFF. You can do like a down 3-4. You can go to the left. You can do a DF1 for a solid mid check or a DF1 plus 2. Again, the choice is pretty much yours. However, tracking is more important than the frame traps. So we're gonna put Hwoarang here to stand guard and make him sidestep left. We're gonna be checking LFS 4 first for sidestepping. So it's like, what am I supposed to do if my opponent's gonna attempt to step at +4? Because you've seen it before with RFF back 2. They can step this. So it's just like, okay, how do I keep myself safe in that kind of situation? So if I do LFS 4, remember, you transition to right Flamingo. That means RFS F4 is essentially homing at that point. Even if they sidestep left, sidestep right, sidewalk left, or sidewalk right, they're not escaping that. No matter what they do. Even if they like attempt the backdash, they can't get out. So that solves all your problems. You don't even have to do RFS back 4 anymore, which is great. But if you don't want to commit all the time to RFS F4, you want to run some good old mids, if the opponent does sidestep left, you can go for RFS back 3 and they're going to get launched for it. If they sidestep towards the right, you can do RFS 1 and they're going to get chopped for it at +9. And that's great frames to work with. You don't want to do you don't want to do a mid, you want to scare them with a low, go ahead. So if you bring it back to sidestep left, just hit them with the hell sweep. That's going to beat both sidestep left and sidestep right. However, it does lose the sidewalk left. That you have to take note of. Oh, loses the sidewalk left. But it does beat sidewalk right. So you can say it's pseudo homing at that point. But if they're sidewalk right, they're going to sidewalk right. At that point, just lock them in with RFS F4 to remind them that they can't go anywhere. So keeping the opponent in check from LFS 4 to RFS, or going from LFS to RFS, is easy. What about the opposite, RFS to LFS? So we're bringing back the sidestep left. So if I go and do RFS 3 and attempt to jab, it's gonna miss. It's the same thing earlier if I did RFS 2. So again, this is sidestep left. Unfortunately, you don't have a solid option for sidestep left because LFS back 4 is inconsistent, even if it's like supposed to track that way. So then in that instance, it lost. In this instance, it wins. So not very, very reliable to work with. So this is where you are forced to rely on the power crush in LFS back 3. But if they do step towards the right, you can just hit them with LFS 2. Same thing, hit them with a chop. Oh no, it loses there too. That's not what happened when I was labbing it earlier. That's not what would happen when I was labbing it earlier. Oh no. You're kidding me. Alright, so they're both inconsistent. Which means you really do gotta rely on LFS back 3 to keep them locked in. Or LFS DF3. LFS slash LFF DF3. So that's like more reliable for sidestep right. But that doesn't catch, what do you call that? Sidestep left. It does not. So your power crushes will come into play here because your mids in this stance at +4 aren't doing you any favors. Now your lows do help you though. Whether that be down 3-4 or LFS down back 4, they will be catching both sidestep left and sidestep right. However, they do lose, both of those options lose to sidewalk. So if your opponent does commit to the sidewalk, down 3-4 is going to lose, and so will LFS. Oh. It's like what I labbed is going against me. That's why you always gotta double check it in the lab every single time. So that means it's on sidewalk left where it loses. Yes, sidewalk left. So it covers, it's the same thing as the hell sweep, but not all options are covered. So that's where knowing when to throw out your LFS DF3 or LFS back 3 is very, very important when checking your opponent. Now the same applies at the wall when like doing the basic frame trap and making sure where they're stepping from left to right, whether you transition from left to right or right to left. But the last thing I'm going to show you is combos. Like, what's the go-to combo you're supposed to go for if you do get LFS 4 or RFS 3 at the wall, right? So if you get LFS 4 at the wall, it's relatively simple. You get to do the basic B&B. There you go. Because all you have to do is just stance switch. Again, LFS 4, stance switch, 3-4, you're done. 51 damage guaranteed. If you don't want to do that, your other alternative is to just LFS 4, 2, down 2 while standing 4-4. Perfect. Easy B&B combos. You don't have to think about it. However, if you do RFS 3 and you want to do this, you will notice it is inconsistent. If you want to make this consistent, you will have to sidestep first to get the 51 damage. Now, if you're not going to be awake to sidestep, you can always do another option, which is this. 3 forward into LFS 3-3. But if you're not going to be awake for the 3 forward, there's always another option. Just 3-4 RFS DF4 or 3-4 into RFS back 3. Now, of course, if you don't go for the 50%, that's the damage you're getting. It's a little bit weaker. But if you do go for the 50%, you get bigger damage with more or less similar Oki. Of course, the wall, the jab, down jab still works. So since you're already there, you can do it. So you can make that more or less your consistent B&B at the wall. But just try it out in practice mode and see what works best for you when you do catch your opponent by surprise with a jumping high kick that is now +4 on block. Again, that's been the lesson for today. End screen is going to show you one of the newer lessons when it does get uploaded. So feel free to click on it there. And I'll see you all next time.